Hello and welcome to our latest deity game here with me, Adrenaline. We're playing as Basil II of the Byzantine Empire and we're about to find a wonder.
Yo Semite Valley to me is always a sunrise, a glitter of green and golden wonder in a vast edifice of stone and space.
And there it is, Yosemite. In the middle of the tundra, in relatively unoccupied territories, we should be able to make the most of this. It's very early in the game as well. Only 12 turns in. 2 tile impassable natural wonder provides +1 gold, +1 food, and +1 science to adjacent tiles. Which, when you take a closer look, we get our astrology boost, by the way, which is really helpful. We want to get that religion as soon as possible. It makes me wonder why this tile, it's obviously receiving 2 science instead of 1 science, because it's the center between the 2 impassable tiles. And each of these tiles give +2, +1, +1, right? Hence, this is 2, 1, and 1. And this is boosted because of the salt, which we may well settle nearby to try and take advantage of both of these. And this has woods in it, so it has additional production and whatnot. But this tile doesn't make any sense, because if this is getting twice the amount for being adjacent to both of these tiles, surely it should be 4 food. Why is it only 3? Anyway, we have a great start on our hands here. We're about to build a settler for this city. We're playing with the usual modes of monopolies and corporations, tech and civic shuffle, disaster level 4, online speed, and hopefully this game will be exciting to watch. So as this is the first time we're playing with Basil II, let alone any civilization or leader from the Byzantine Empire, we are about to look at Basil's kit and see what he can do for us in our potential science game. His first one is an incredibly ominous long name to try and pronounce. I will give it my best shot. Porphyrogenetos. Porphyrogenetos? Is that it? Porphyrogenetos? Hopefully that's a good enough attempt. Heavy and light cavalry units do full damage against cities following the same religion as Byzantium. Gain the Tagma unique unit when a divine right civic is discovered. That is nice that you pretty much guarantee, unless you somehow make the Tagma obsolete before you get divine right, which is possible, especially on a shuffle map, tech or civic tree. But likelihood that you don't ever lose out on the possibility of getting the era score from that. And there's definitely been plenty of moments where, especially with units, because they get obsolete and they get replaced by newer units, and you don't get to make a medieval unit all the way in the future era, for the most part, it kind of ensures a safety that you are going to get access to that. It's much better than if you were to automatically receive an improvement, which is something that you get to keep and make throughout the entire course of the game. Taxis, not taxis, I can't imagine. That would be interesting, like an industrial introduction to taxis. Make the travel of your units faster with the help of taxis. Units receive +3 combat strength or 3 religious strength for each holy city converted to Byzantium's religion, including Byzantium's holy city. Byzantium's religion is spread to nearby cities when defeating a unit belonging to an enemy civilization or city-state. +1 great profit point from cities with a holy site district. So obviously, as, it doesn't take much of a look to realize Basil and Byzantium in general are pretty centered and spiked around religion and warfare. I like religious games when the opportunity arises. I'm not a fan of domination at all. So, is this useful to me? I do like getting a religion in pretty much every one of our games. We just got access to astrology boost because of finding a nice early Yosemite wonder. I wonder, if Basil early game starts what's the word? Priorities actually gives him a boost to being near a natural wonder, just so that he can get that religious boost. I do wonder if that's a possible thing. That'd be very powerful if it is. But generally speaking, I'm not that interested in fighting other civilizations. Tagma, Basil II's unique medieval era unit that replaces the knight. Land units within one tile of the Tagma receive +4 combat strength on or religious strength. So it replaces the knight. Presumably that means, as you can see by the horse's head, that it would require horses to build. However, of course, as we just saw from Porphyrogenetos, we get one automatically through Divine Right. So in games which do exist, where you don't have at least your own access, you might be able to buy from others, but even then, not always, horses, although I think you may have noticed that there was a horse tile near Yo Semite, that also might be a starting bias. That's, I think, what they call them, for Basil, to be nearby horses, maybe. That if you didn't have access to that, you at least get one Tagma for the era score, which is arguably the most important one for me. Dromon, a Byzantine unique classical era unit, quite early, that replaces the quadrireme, yes, that has additional range and receives +10 combat strength against units. I do like an upgrade to the quadrireme. Early ranged naval units can be incredibly useful in dealing with, as the case may be, barbs. And also there's, of course, the potential for that particular boost. The naval tradition? Is that what it's called? Where you have to kill a unit with a quadrireme unit, or a dromon in this case. The Hippodrome, a district unique to Byzantium, replaces the entertainment complex district, provides +3 amenities, and is cheaper to build. When the Hippodrome and buildings in the district are constructed, receive a heavy cavalry unit. Oh, okay. Units granted from this district do not have a resource maintenance cost. Oh, wow. Cannot be built in a city with a water park. So that's even more ways that you can amass quite a lot of cavalry units. Holy moly. Because it's each one, right? So you can make a bunch of cities. Although going to war, I don't know how many cities you're building. Maybe taking some as well. And getting a whole cavalry army with your hippodromes. And the hippodrome, of course, is very nice for warfare, because you do need those amenities if you're going to war to help balance out the general dislike your civilization will have for being at war throughout the course of the game. Okay, like in pretty much any game, we've reached that critical moment early on where we have just finished our last Holy Type prayer and are about to get our profit. So, for our religion, you can see that we are the third religion to be put in place. The typical feed the world, meeting house, choral music, in this case synagogue, that's not so typical, but fortunately the what has not been taken, and since we're all going science, we're going to be able to take that one for ourselves. Otherwise somebody else will certainly take it within the coming turns, not too long now. All the other religions will be filled in the next few turns. So, take our usual name. We'll take work ethic. This one is rarely taken by any AI. They don't value it that highly. They usually take something strange like warrior monks or Jesuit education or something like that. And then the what. Now, I do really, of course, like Holy Order, and eventually maybe I'll probably go tithe, the usual. But those are not as highly prioritized by the AI as the what. If we don't take the what now, we will not get it. So let's do it. A basic +2 era score for our third faith in the game. A boost to theology, which is all the way over here. We'll need that to get temples, but I doubt we necessarily need them just yet. As you can see, we've already established 3 cities now. We also have to deal with a barbarian camp to settle this one, which is fine. There are a couple of annoying galleys, and we did have to place a pretty early walls, but with the help of a builder, we were able to chop for it, and we're looking good. A few more turns have passed now. It's now turn 67. You can see that, unfortunately, Valetta was conquered by Nubia, and they are our bordering civilization that is preventing us from traveling further east. It means that the amount of land that was once perhaps offered has substantially diminished in what we are able to do, but we are about to make another settlement over here at the very least. Have to check out more in the north. And speaking of exploration, we find ourselves the Cree. Now, the Cree are particularly beneficial to have as a fellow civ controlled by the AI, because hopefully we can befriend them, and if we do, we can alliance with them. And if we ally with them, then we can get their map data, which will give us a lot of vision and figure out what we can do for the rest of the game. So it is an honor to meet you. Love to sound your hospitality. Let's see what we can do about making sure that they will be our friends. They currently have a -7. Can we offer a delegation? Fantastic. Can we also offer open borders? Great. There is a good chance that we don't need to try and push for +5 like I normally say is a good baseline, because a turn 1 open borders along with a delegation is usually a very good sign that we are able to become friends with them over the course of next turn. We've also acquired ourselves a golden age, having met the Cree. We have only 6 turns remaining, so we are in line for that glorious monumentality golden age. There are some tiles here eroding, but there's a likely chance that we can probably buy ourselves some settlers, so our faith economy could do with a little more boosting in acquiring some more additional land for our empire. And as you can see, even though we didn't have a +5 reputation with them, they have indeed become friendly with us, and we will be able to accept their friendship. And once we research some of these, one of these will be civil service. It will allow us an alliance, and we can get that much valued research. This is possibly our very last city on the eastern side of things, at least, but you can see it's a very nice position, not only because it has access to the lake and therefore aqueducts and the like, although we are currently positioned like this. I don't know if that's what we'll do in the end. We have access to potential quite a few luxuries. We have 2 mercury and a salt deposit to access with our builder. Now, this may be a science game, but that doesn't mean we don't have time for building some awesome wonders in the meantime, do we? Especially when those wonders can actually directly help our science game by adding production and food and other necessary yields to help make our cities as strong as possible going into the phases that require the most work. So let's get ourselves some Huey TeoCalling Me, shall we?
But the wrath of Poochly was great, and as the sacrifice passed each of the 4 rooms dedicated to the sun god, the sun disappeared or reappeared in the sky.
One thing I do hope they keep for Civ 7, and I'm sure they'll do a good job, they usually seem to be able to nail this one out, is the whole little movies and such for such achievements such as wonders. I always like being able to listen to every single little jingle that each of these wonders that have their own individual little music and their own little blurb to be spoken out. I do wonder who is going to potentially take place instead of Sean Bean, unless he continues. Because they seem to like to switch roles every single game. Maybe Liam Neeson or something, I don't know. But yeah, that is always fun. And of course, this wonder, it does provide us amenities, which definitely helps for the happiness and therefore the produce of our citizens. And the lake tile within +1 immunity for every lake tile within 1 tile of your attack ally. So that's at least a couple. +1 food and +1 production for each lake tile in your empire must be built on a lake adjacent to land. So if we can take control of this, this is a huge amount of lake tiles, which, while maybe not the actual city that built it, since it's the capital that was able to build it in time, it will definitely profit from a whole bunch of boosted yields. As you can see here already, we have a couple of tiles that are already benefiting from that. And so once again we enter the business end of things. We have just finished researching rocketry, which will allow us to build the spaceports for our first real step in the science race. Our best city, a city which we did indeed build Ruhr Valley in, will be able to build this spaceport in 12 turns. Let's pop it down. And this builder will be mostly used as sacrificial fodder to accelerate the space race projects that this city goes through, especially once we have Royal Society, once we get communism, which we have found, but we want to get this first so that we can combine our harbors and our campus and industrial zones into individual policy cards, making our government that much more effective. Things are in full swing now, as not only do we have great people coming out of our ears, we have the culture-based merchant that is HellBentz, but also we are now 1 turn away from building this spaceport and getting on with our work and getting those essential space missions completed. You also may notice that we've been acquiring quite a lot of gold. Indeed, we have over 1,000 gold coming in every single turn, and with that gold we were able to also acquire Sergei Korolev, which will help us greatly in our advancement of these space race project constructions. So we will launch the Earth satellite, and that is only 450, but the subsequent ones will be more, at least 750 or not higher, and those will be the ones that we use Sergei to help us with. Late game now, but not too late to make value of our new government. That's right, we're moving to communism. There's the era score. And we can generate plus 10% science for having communism, which is awesome, as well as the production for the projects and so on. Of course, every city will be involved in the Lagrange and the more particularly the terrestrial laser stations coming up soon. But first we need to finish getting across the science tree. This should be very helpful. This is the legacy card for communism, and it is very nice for both growth and production for our own trade routes. Of course, we're not playing culture, so we don't care for international trade routes. We have the adjacency bonus benefits already in place. This potentially can give us even more science, which is very helpful. I can't see anything particularly valuable outside of that, but I guess we go with logistics. This is just a good cover-all in general purposes. We can go for extra science, I guess. +2 housing may not be necessary anymore. And soon we'll hopefully get the policy card to get more science boosts when we use our spies. Almost 400 science now. Certainly a lot better than it was. We have a little bit to go. Sort of like era and a half, maybe 2 eras. But we'll be getting there shortly. And so we have reached the final turn in this game, and we were pushed quite a bit by Amanatore, our neighbor, because she was working at 2 light years per turn on the final stage of the science race. But you can see that we have almost completed, and we are running at a whopping 15 light years per turn with only 3 more needed. So this is well and truly a victorious end to the game. Most of our cities are using the industrial zone logistics project. They don't have dams. They can't build hydroelectric dams to support the power, so instead they just worked on that. Our main city here has been doing a couple of Lagrange, which doesn't require additional power, so it's now building its terrestrial before it finally finishes, but obviously that's right at the end of this. And it's been a very successful campaign. Pretty quick, 166 turns. Certainly had slower than that in the past. You know, our timeline looks quite nice. You can go through it briefly if desirable. Of course, the whole game centered around Yo Semite to begin with, but it took us a bit before we actually settled near it. We did use it in the end. We took control of the obnoxious barbarian camp, which we did settle first and then purchase the tile of to help with our situation, and then build walls with our builder. And we made our religion and got ourselves units, settlements in other continents, all the rest of it. We became the first ones to meet all the civilizations of the world, which is nice. For some years ago, of course, we were also the first one to travel. So we did a lot of exploration compared to everybody else. So that was nice. Also, of course, with the Cree's help. Don't forget that. We got industrial zones down and other really powerful, splendid districts, holy sites and the like. Yeah. Our sprawling empire, we did get quite a few cities overall. We finally finalized our religion with the Inquisitors as well. We started bringing in with the money, as you saw in one of the earlier parts, Sergei Korolev to the game. We did our spies, we got them up to master level. We were able to science out everything we needed. We bought even more great people. We started actually getting parts of the science race completed, new techs, and then of course finishing off with the actual science race itself. I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you did, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a comment below. You know, let me know what you liked about this video. I do think you guys seem to respond to an earlier start to the video about something interesting, so hopefully you enjoyed that part in particular, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Much as our ancestors did ages ago, we thrust forward into the unknown. The first pioneers set forth on an uneasy course. And yet once again did our people thrive. Now, under your leadership, we plot a new course and make another world our own.